Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Now, if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell. If you didn't watch the last episode, we have now brought the extension to the garage. So now we have a bigger space with a workbench for some body parts. And that's important because today we're working on the story car, the 1996 Bolt Hornet. The reason we're waiting to buy the body part bench to fix the body parts was because in the story it says this needed body parts fixing. So here we are. This is the car, this is what it needs. A lot of undiscovered parts. It's going to take some detective work on our parts and testing, but the front bumper needs fixing. It's the whole reason we waited and did the last episode to get to this point where you can buy the bodywork bench to fix bodywork for this story car that requires it. So, let's get the car going. Let's see if we can start it. Because if we start it, we take it to a test track, that solves a few other issues quite quickly. Okay, doesn't have any oil. Not a good start. Let's put it on the lift in the garage and see what we can find. Okay, I think we should start with an examination. It's always a good way to start. And as usual, we'll speed through the examination just to speed it up a little bit. This video is already longer than I wanted it to be. I was aiming for under half an hour, but I couldn't really find too much to cut. That didn't take away from what we were doing. So, unfortunately, it's a bit longer than I wanted it to. But there we go. So, we can see there's some suspension issues straight away. And look at this lovely V8 engine. So we'll do a compression test, see if that shows anything up. It's a lovely looking engine though. It looks brand spanking new, but just see it pop up on the left hand side there. Camshaft is gone. So that's us opening the top of the engine to a point to take the camshaft out, and there we go. Confirmation, camshaft V8 needs replacing. That's annoying because the engine bay isn't massive, and to get to that we're going to have to take off quite a bit of the front of the engine. I think we have to take off all the pulleys and the pumps, the water pump, just to get to it. But we'll do a scanner, we'll do the scanner and see what we can find if there are any other issues. The more we find now, the easier this will be to fix. Straight away, ignition coil needs fixing. Spark plug, spark plug, spark plug, spark plug, spark plug. Okay, it's got a few issues. Ignore ignition coil. So we're going to have to take off the covers to the top anyway. And then below them, I think, is where the camshaft is. Yeah, so a few spark plugs need replacing and some ignition coils. Good to know that early at least. We'll check the fuses and electrical components and just see if there's any issues with those. We haven't had massive experience with V8s, so this will take a bit of figuring out. But yeah, I think I roughly know where we need to get to. Nothing wrong there, electrical. We'll do the tyre tread. I don't think these will show up as anything, but we'll do them anyway. It's XP for us, which is always a bonus. But also it's worth doing these extra checks just to be sure. The story missions can catch you out if you're not careful. So fuel pressure test as well. Well, I'm amazed we can do the compression test and the fuel pressure test considering the engine won't start because of lack of oil. But it's still allowing us to do testing. Oh, we found an issue there. Oh, glad we did the fuel test. The fuel rail needs replacing. One of two. Only one needs replacing. Okay. I don't think there's any more tests left to do. So I think we should probably start by taking out the oil that remains in the engine, just because we know we're going to have to play around with it. And I know it wouldn't start because of lack of oil, but why would that go? It won't go over because. Okay, so on the lifter, I always forget this. You need to press it twice. The first time puts the lifter underneath the car, the second time actually puts it in the air. And once you can stop hearing it moving, you know the place. I always get confused with that. I always walk away too soon. But will there be any oil in this? It did say there wasn't any. Oh, there's a drop. A tiny, weeny drop of oil. But not enough for it to start. Because we were going to take it to the test track if we could have started it. That would have helped us find a few other issues. But I think we should start with the engine. I think that is definitely our first place to start. Well, before we do the engine, I think we need to drain fluids, especially coolant. mainly because we may have to take the water pump off, and coolant, obviously water coolant. It's going to go together. We don't want a spillage. Don't think there's anything else to drain. What I think we'll do, we can't drain the radiator because the coolant's down. Just double checking. No, I think the coolant is the radiator. That's fine. Don't think we need to drain anything else. I think we're okay. I think window washer is filling up. Wheels done. I think we don't need to drain anything else. Apologise in advance for this being a bit slow. Obviously, we're not massively au fait with the V8 engines, so I'm just being extra careful, just to be sure. I don't want a spillage. The fine for the spillage is about £50. At this point, we can't afford that. We're short on money anyway, and this car is going to be very touch and go if we can afford to fix it. So I'm hoping we can, otherwise it's game over, start again. So we're going to take out the radiator and the radiator fan housing, just to give us some room to look at the engine itself, because we need to take off this front panel to get to the timing, which will then allow us to take out the camshaft. Ideally, we'd want to take the engine out and do it that way just to give ourselves more space, but unfortunately we don't have much choice. We need the money to invest into a engine lift, and we don't have that at the minute. So this is the water pump pulley, so behind that will be the water pump. That was the bit I was a little bit wary about, of just making sure we got rid of the coolant. Let's see what happens when we take it out. Should be yes, we're okay. No fine. Perfect. Okay, we need to take the Serpentine belt off, but the belt tensioner first. There's quite a bit to take off. Again, we haven't done much of this, so this is new. It's a learning curve for us. The Serpentine belt can come off. The idle roller. Yeah, another one. Another one. There's a few of these. I'm trying to take off the bare minimum to get to what we need to get to. But the bare minimum is quite a bit. The crankshaft pulley needs to come off as well. And then another idler roller. Now I don't think any of them need replacing. Okay, so we need to get the timing cover off, but we can't take that off until we've taken off the engine covers. And we can't take them off until we've got rid of the cover there. There we go. These ignition coils we know need changing as well. So we'll take them out. Yellow one, I'm not sure. Don't know whether it's worth it taking them all off and then replacing all of them just to be careful and just to be sure. Not 100% at this point. But I do like the look of the V8s. Every engine in the game is different, and some are more complicated than others. It depends on the type of engine. The V8, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of meat in the engine itself. A lot of parts. And there we go. You can actually visibly see, once I stop highlighting in red, the camshaft has corroded. It is no good. But we need to get to... that's the fuel rail as well. We need to take the timing cover off to get to the cam gears to then get the camshaft out. The fuel rail needs replacement. We've got taken that off already. All these ignition coils need to come off because we need both sides off to be able to open up the timing cover. There we go. It's a lot of bolts holding everything together. One of the reasons this video is longer than it should be is because of the amount of bolts the V8 has. It does get silly. But at least we managed to do all our testing. The compression test was done, so we know we don't need to go any further than the camshaft, which hopefully will help us. Right, spark plugs. We do need to replace quite a few of them, so let's take them out. Try and only take out the ones we need to replace. They're yellow. I think they're going to be okay. Minimum percentage 76%. I think we're okay. Yeah, still parts undiscovered, but that's not surprising at this stage. There's 3 pages of parts to find. Okay, I don't think we did the spark plugs on the other side, did we? I'm in 2 minds. I think they're okay. What about these ones? No, that's red. That needs to come out. It's yellow. I think there's a few more of those we probably need to do. We'll just take them all out. I think that's probably the safest bet at this point. We take most of them. We definitely need to take the red ones. And yeah. If it's under the percentage, take it out. If it's over, leave it in. We won't know if. Well, we can check actually before we put the tops back on. Okay. So timing cover, I think, is the next thing. We don't need to go any further into the engine. We just need to take the timing cover off, and then we can take the cam gears off. Timing cover doesn't have a massive amount of bolts. That's a bonus. We need to take off the timing belts. Oh, actually, that needs replacing. And both of them need replacing. So that's a good job we got this far into it. That seems okay. That one's okay. Or is it? I don't know. It's very close to percentage. That one, again, we need to take it off anyway to get the camshaft. And this one, should be okay. Camshaft can come off. And I think that's everything. I'm still umming and ahhing about that one spark plug. So it's because some of the things are under the percentage, but they may not necessarily be on the list to replace. And it's just you don't want to go too far above and beyond because you'll lose money. But if you don't do enough, obviously you've got to take everything back off again to get to this point. And that's an issue. So we're kind of in two minds. What's the right way of doing things? To be honest. This camshaft is on there. There's still some things undiscovered, but that's not surprising. So what we're going to do is add things to a shopping list. In a minute. Yeah, let's add things to a shopping list. Let's get the engine put back together. I think we're going to replace maybe more than we need to. But I think we're urging on the side of caution here. I think in some ways it is better to be more cautious, but we might be doing the wrong thing. I'm not sure. We'll find out in the profit at the end, I suppose. Maybe we could have got a bit more out of it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Same as the idle rollers. It's a difficult one because if they're not on the list, you don't necessarily have to replace them, even if they're below the percentage. But when there's parts not found, well, at least you know you're not taking them off, I suppose. But even so, I don't want to get to a point of put it all back together and then think, oh, we've got to take it all off again. But it's a difficult one. It's knowing whether doing too much is a problem or doing too little. It's a fine balancing act between the two, and we are very tight on money. And we do need to fix that front bumper. And we've not done that before, so no guarantees we're going to get it first time or do well. It's a little mini game. I can't guarantee we're going to do it first time round. But we're going to spend the money. They're quite expensive, actually. I was going to... 3 camshafts, that is a lot of money. Our budget is massively depleted very quickly. Cam gear... yeah. Spark plugs will be in the electrical section. That's fine. Timing cover. It's not massively expensive, I suppose. But I'm just keeping an eye on our budget and it's not looking healthy. This car better pay well. I think we're going to leave the timing cover for the minute. We need 2 belts, timing belts, that's fine. Yeah, I think I've deleted the spark plugs accidentally, I didn't mean to do that. We'll leave the head cover as well. Ignition coils will be in the electrical. Fuel round we have to replace one. That's expensive as well. The coil cover. We'll leave. Let's go for the idle rollers. We need 4 of those. Again, whether we needed to really replace them, I'm not sure. Serpentine belt. Again, it's a fine balancing act and we are very short of money. Radiator. Again, radiator fan, radiator housing. I don't think we need to. Okay, we need to get the spark plugs put back on our list because I deleted them accidentally. I didn't mean to. I've gone past them. Here we are. If we put them all on, we kind of count them as we go and we know we get the right amount. Try not to overbuy, that's the other issue. Trying to make sure we only put what we need on, we buy only what we need. I think if you sell things back once you've bought them, if you buy them by mistake, you only get half the cost back. And obviously at this stage we can't afford that. So you've got to be a little bit careful what you're buying. I'm leaving the other stuff on our shopping list for the time being, just in case we decide that we actually have enough money to do it, but I don't think we should. They're not on the list. We've still got other things we need to fix. So we've decided I need to replace 3 of those because that's how many are on the list. Right. Better start putting some of this back. I think we've probably made a mistake with the amount of camshafts we bought and how many we're replacing. I think we need to replace 1, but we've bought them now. It's a little bit too late. It's probably going to cost us in our profit a little bit more than we really wanted it to. But we don't really have much choice now because they're paid for. And whilst they're paid for, we don't really have a choice. Cam gear's back on as well. Camshaft. Let's do the spark plugs first. So I think we've replaced all but 1 of the spark plugs, which I know is a bit weird leaving 1. If you're going to replace all but 1, you might as well do all of them. But we're very conscious of money. Camshaft. These camshafts aren't bad because they don't have little clips holding them in. There are other engines where every camshaft has 6 to 8 clips and it's ridiculous trying to do them all. They're tiny as well. That's to come, don't worry. We'll have that annoyance later at another car, I'm sure. Cam gears can go back on. Right, the 2 timing belts now can go back on. Trying to get the right angle and view. Yeah, camshaft is done. We only need to replace 1. We replace 3. It's a big expense. So what we're going to do, because putting everything back together is very time consuming, and I'm a bit conscious of the length of the video, we're actually going to speed rebuild. So this is the speed for us putting everything back on, timing cover, all the rollers, the water pump, and everything else. It just saves your time a little bit, and you can still see what we're doing. The covers go back on. We'll put the ignition coils back in. There we go. Yeah. I've kind of changed my mind and bought an extra couple of ignition coils because they weren't showing as done. So it kind of made sense. Radiator back in, and that is all that done. So we should have, hopefully, fingers crossed and toes, we should have finished all the engine side of things now. So we've got to do leaf spring U-bolt, on the rear, wheel hub as well. So there's a few things we need to do. I think if we lift it up first, so we bought the body repair station so we can repair bodywork. We've not really looked at bodywork at all yet, and this only has 1 thing to fix. But I was conscious that the expense of buying it new would be too much on our tight budget. As you can see, our money has gone down significantly, and we've still got parts to replace. So I'm hoping we can fix the bodywork, and then that will save us some money. Brake wise here, caliper looks okay. Brake pad is not. So we do need a new brake pad. Anything else behind the wheel? I know the view's not fantastic. I'm trying to see if maybe the bearing needs changing. No, does it? It's close. It's yellow. Brake disc seems okay. There's nothing obvious at this point I can see. I would say desperately needs changing, and obviously you've got a lot of bushings that got to be a bit conscious of. Let's have a look at this one. Oh, that's red. That's a very good find. So we do need to replace that rubber bushing. We probably would have been looking for ages to find that one, to be honest. We're going to replace the bearing. I'm not 100% sure if we have to or need to, but it's on the list just in case. Go out to car parts. The bushing was the good find. I'm going to take off all the covers and things. I don't think we need to replace them. I think we need to be wary of money now. So we're very close to nothing. We're going to replace the bearing. I mean, 2 miles away, it's the right decision, but we'll take it in a minute. Brake pads, definitely changing, and obviously the bushing. I'm glad we found that early. Otherwise we would have been looking around the car for ages, again, to find my nemesis. Okay, brake pads can now go back on, and bearing can go back in. There we go, new bearing. Wheel hub cap, same one goes back on. Pads, and then calipers. Go, and then we can do the wheel, and then I think the front right is done. The tyres, I will say, look really nice. The detail on some of them is incredible. I like the writing on them. Obviously I know it's not a real brand, but I like the writing. I think they've done well with that. Adds a little bit of personalisation. We're just going to check this. Oh, I'm glad we did. Another rubber bushing. Told you they're the bane of my life. But we managed to find another issue. That's why sometimes it's worth to spend an extra minute taking these things with the rubber bushings off, because they're so easy to miss, and we've got undiscovered parts. So if we don't find them now, we're still going to look for them at some point. So while we're this corner, then I'm not sure of. Oh, okay, we're going to replace both of the bushings, just in case. I think the other one was close to the percentage or under it just, so just to be on the safe side. Anything else here? Sway bar front end. I'm also looking for rusty bolts. Rusty bolts generally give an indication that there possibly could be an issue, but I don't think there is. Right, front left. What have we got? You know, there's brake pads. I think all 4 brake pads need replacing. I think that was already showing up on the list without an inspection. I think it is all 4 brake pads. So no matter what, we need to take the tyres off. And you can see it, actually, the brake pad has gone as well. I'm pretty sure it's all 4. So brake pads can come off. We're going to check the bearing again, just to be sure. And, oh, okay. Bearing's okay, but it's behind, it's in front of the bearing. The wheel hub, I think, is gone. Yes, it has. The wheel hub has gone. Haven't needed to replace that. I don't think we've done one before, actually, to be fair. Just going to check the rubber bushings after finding out on the other side. And you can actually see straight ahead. That's the oil filter. That needs replacing as well. Didn't spot that before. That's the thing. Different angles allow you to spot everything. That rubber bushing's gone as well. That's a very good find. Ignoring the others. The other rubber bushings are okay. We need a brake pad as well. £874 left. We're going to be very close financially. Definitely the oil fill. We haven't got a choice now. They're not expensive though. That's not too bad. Wheel hub. It's okay. We need to kind of look at maybe some of these discounts and parts, but that's a long way off. I think there's other things to concentrate on first. That's the problem. Rubber bushing back in though. Nice and easy. Oil filter. No issues there. And these rubber bushings will go in as they were. I don't think there's need to replace them. I think we're okay. Just double checking now. Yeah, wheel hub, front wheel hub. Well, at least we found it. There's a lot of issues with the rear stuff, suspension by looks of it. There's still 4 parts undiscovered. Sorry, 3 parts undiscovered, and that's worrying. That's worrying because there could be anything. Hopefully we find them fairly quickly. Wheel hub bearing, go back in. So, it's close to minimum, but I think it's okay. It would have come up on the list as discovered if that was the issue. So I kind of think we're okay. We do tend to go back to the list quite a bit just to double check yourself. So I think the more experienced you are, the less you're going to be going back and looking at the list, to be honest. I think okay. That's the new front wheel hub. So I think we can put the hubcap back on and brake disc. None of that needed doing. New brake pads though, they are brand new, they can go back on, and brake caliper should be okay. And the wheel is back on as well. So that is the front left and front right done. The rear of the car, we know there's issues with suspension, we saw that on the list. I think we found that by examination, to be honest. We know the 2 brake pads still need doing, so the wheels come off no matter what. There's a wheel hub 3 needs replacing and 2 spring caps. There's a few issues still to solve, and still some things unfound. That's what's worrying me at the minute, is the things that we haven't found. Okay. Oh, you can see behind the brake disc there is a lot of corrosion. So I think that's the hub there. Right, brake pads we know, that's fine. Brake disc comes off. Is that the hub behind? Rear drive axle has to come off first. And then we have the wheel hub 3. Perfect. So that's on the list, and we knew about it. But this rubber bushing, is that okay? The part it's on isn't. No, rubber bushing needs to replace. That's one of the 3 unfound parts then. These are the leaf spring U-bolts. We knew about both of these in our list. You can also see a few other issues. The suspension to the right, or left rear suspension, but I think it's the suspension. It's not the cap. I can't remember what the underneath is called. That looks like it's gone as well. So the solid axle arm is gone. Yes, the spring cap. That is gone. Just make it out. A lot of these parts visually you can tell when they're gone. And a lot of it I think is visual checking. If it's your own car, obviously you want everything brand spanking new to get the most money out of it. Customer cars don't have to be in it. I think it's worse when a customer car, Story or others, come in and there's corrosion but doesn't need replacing. That makes life difficult because then you've got to judge. But we found some interesting parts there. So we found the brake pad, we found the leaf spring U-bolts, both of them. Found the spring cap. We know they needed doing. Drive axle. I don't know if that's a part. I don't know if that choice. We've got 7 and 4. The caps aren't too bad. That's not too bad. 2 of these. Yeah, it's okay. Brake pads we haven't got a choice. We know they need doing. Wheel hub 3 we know needs changing. So again we don't have a choice in that one. Rubber bushing we need. Again no choice. Drive axle. We're going to buy it. I'm in 2 minds. That may have been another waste, another buy that we didn't need to do. I'm not entirely sure at this point. We'll put the spring cap back on first. Rear spring can then go back on. We've not really dealt with this kind of suspension before. So it's a double suspension on the rear. Because you've got the normal shock absorbers, then the springs. The arm back in place. That's got a leaf spring plate underneath. Again, every suspension car, they all have different designs, different ways of working. Front drive, rear wheel drive, full wheel drive even. So we're going to see a lot of differences. So the things you find often, you won't always see on other cars. I know often on other cars makes no sense. But yeah, the things you find on one car won't necessarily be the same on the other. So like them leaf spring bolts, U-bolts and things, you won't generally find them on all the other cars. The solid rear axle, I'm kind of in 2 minds. I think that might have been overkill. Brake disc is okay. We can now put the brand new brake pads. They're needed, we know that. That's fine. Brake caliper goes back on. And then the wheel. So that's the left front, right front and left rear done. There is still suspension issues, so I'm assuming there's going to be more round on the rear right. As you can see, money is very tight at this point though. So we still need a brake pads, which we knew about. There's a leaf spring U-bolt still needs doing. So I think there's 3 of those in total then. And a solid rear drive axle. So maybe we were correct in the one we did replace, and there's another one. Maybe we weren't. Maybe it wasn't overkill. or we've replaced the wrong one. I can't remember if I just saw a second one or not. It's done now, it doesn't matter who bought it, so we'll carry on. And straight away you can see the rustiness behind the brake disc. So brake pads we know need replacing, that's not an issue. It's the rear wheel axle drive. I wonder if the other one didn't need replacing, but this one does. Maybe we replaced the wrong one. Possibly. Don't know. Right, there's our leaf spring U-bolt. We know that needs replacing. You can also see the spring cap as well. We've already done one on the other side that definitely needs replacing. I think this is the second. There we go. And rubber bushings. Always check rubber bushings while we're here. And that needed replacing. It's always worth checking them. You're nearby. Let's have a quick look. I think that's everything. Spring cap, spring bolt. We definitely need the rear drive axle. We definitely need the brake pads. It's also knowing when you've got an inventory full of stuff and what you've taken off the car that you've replaced, you need to know kind of where that ends to not get confused and overbuy. We're really worried about the money now. Will we have enough to actually finish the car? That's my concern at this point. Brake pads take us under 100. There's still work to do. Although we can sell the parts, we can sell the old parts actually. So we may just. It's going to be extremely close whether we can afford to finish this car. The problem is if you can't afford to finish the car, it's game over. If you run out of money, if you run out of things you can sell off, you're kind of in trouble. There's no loans to buy or anything. And obviously parts are more expensive than the parts you sell off because they're no good. Hopefully we haven't failed already. So the drive axle that we need replacing can go in. We've replaced the other side. It probably wasn't needed. I think it was probably overkill. But it's done. And that's probably where we're laying ourselves down financially. Is the little overspends and we don't need to. It's just trying to save us time in the long run and not have to go back in case we got it wrong. But at the same time, financially, we just can't afford to keep doing it. Right, so that is all the wheels are done. The brake issue should be solved. Let's have a look. Page 2. Oh, there's still one part undiscovered. What is that going to be? There is something not found. Is it going to be something simple? Is it going to be something more inconvenient? So the fuel pump. Sorry, seems okay. So looks if where's the other bushing sites? That's the other thing. So it could be something simple like that. Yeah, I wonder if it's another bushing somewhere. But it's knowing which one we've checked and which one we haven't. That one's been done. That's brand new. I think there's only 2 on the rear. I think the rest are on the front. So we just need to get an angle to the front to be able to have a look at this. Pretty sure there's only 2 on the rear. That one we've replaced. What about this front right? We haven't checked it. That's no good. Okay, so that should be the final part that needs replacing according to the list on the main story part. We still got to do front bumper, but just trying to get an angle so we can see this. There we go. Let's put the wheels back on. Rubber bushing was the issue. My nemesis was causing us this pain of trying to find something. So I believe that's everything done for the car. Now, we need to do the front bumper. We're making a bit of money at the minute, not a massive amount. We haven't got much money left though, but that is all the main stuff done. So front bumper needs fixing. We need to change the oil, which we've changed. We need to refill, and there is another task as well. Front bumper time though. This will be our first time using our bench. Lights come out as part of it. It's weird when you take it out. Oh. So we waited and invested heavily in this workbench to fix body parts, and it's red. Yeah, it's too low. So all that time of waiting to be able to do this this job for the body repair bench, and actually we can't use it because the part is too low to be fixed. That's not good. And we've only... What's the betting it's more than £82? I guarantee it is. Front bumper. What's it going to be? What's their betting? This is going to be expensive. We can sell all the no good parts. Yeah, we haven't got enough. That's the one we need. We haven't got enough money. We can sell all the parts we've taken off the car. We can do that. But then the rubber bushes are worth £1, £4, 1, 10, 5. They're not. Yeah. This hasn't quite gone to plan. Financially, anyway. The rebuild and the fixing has been okay. But yeah. All that struggle to get the bench. And we go to use and can't. Because the part we need to fix is too low to be fixed. That's frustrating. We saved and saved and saved for that. And we didn't really need to. But you can only live and learn. You do these things, you can only learn by your mistakes. And now we know. There's other money we could have invested elsewhere. We could have had more money to fix this car. But it's done. Let's stop complaining about it. It's just a silly mistake on my part. Right, the ignition coils, we can't do anything with those. I don't think we have to reuse them on anything. So let's get rid of those. We've still not got quite enough. Spark plugs can go. Ignition coils again, they're no good to us. Some of this we're probably keeping, we shouldn't, but we need money. And we still need to replace liquids as well, so we need to make sure we've got a bit more than we need. So, front bumper, we get a little bit of a discount. I think you're okay. Now, I don't know what colour it's going to come out as. Black. Nothing we can do. We haven't got a paint shop. We can't change the colour. And plus, it doesn't want us to. It hasn't asked us to. Lack of paint shop obviously doesn't help that. So I'll take that in a minute. That is front bumper done. Annoyingly replaced, not repaired, but it is what it is. What can we do? So we put the coolant back in. We drain that to do the engine and the water pump. We need to refill window washer anyway. Don't need to drain it, we just need to refill. That saves a little bit because we're not putting the extra bit in because we drained it first. So we'll take that. That's a handy little bonus. And oil we need to put back in. There's something wrong with the car, the way it looks. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm missing something or not. It seems a bit weird. Anyway, we'll have a look at that in a second. Oil's back in, that's done. Power steering, I think, is done. I think car's finished. Maybe we're not missing that. Or maybe I'm just imagining things. But I don't know, something seemed off. Fixed body parts, done. Change oil, done. Refill washer liquid, done. Car, finished. With £118 to spare. I think we did well. I think we did very well indeed. We had to sell the parts, obviously, that were no good. I'll take it. So yeah, we spent a total of 2,000 and... Hang on, I've lost my thing. Oh. There is something missing. I knew I spotted. Ah, right, I can see it from here. So we've actually got the right hand cover on, left hand cover not so much. You see the difference on the two sides? We must have sold it when we were getting the money for the front bumper. Yeah, we must have actually sold it. Now we need to find it. We might be better off searching, maybe? Oh no, there he is. Which one's? I think the one on. I think that's the right one. It's V8. Calls cover. Yeah, that's definitely right. Yeah, it's that one. 42. It's not. No, it's not. No, it's definitely. I don't. No, it's an i5. It's not that one. I can't afford to get this wrong. If we take the other one off, that would actually give us an indication. And I actually didn't realise at the time. If I'd actually put to replace the part on the car and put the settings so they're putting stuff back on, it would show up and we could click that into a shopping list. I didn't realise that at the time, to be fair. Right, let's try to get the mode right. We should be able to put the parts back on. There we go. So we did make a mistake. We forgot to put the cover back on, and in fact we sold the cover accidentally. We shouldn't have done. There we go. So we've actually spent more money than we needed to. We've just managed to make it work though. £86 left in the bank. So we actually spent, including all that little issue, £2,741. And we're going to get £4,911 back. That makes us a profit of £2,170. So we're just under £5 again. I think we've done well. Disappointed with the extension and the bodywork fixing, but there we go. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.